Eddie.
This is Nicole. Welcome to Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it. I wrote down some notes too.
Okay.
It was just a couple of things. But I was thinking earlier, there was a story I heard.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to just read it to you.
All right, go ahead.
I have to read it. It's kind of, I don't want to say long, but it's really short. But,
all right.
But I want to know what your thoughts are about it. They said the parable of the long spoons is a allegory that tells the story of a holy man who asked God about heaven and hell. So that's what I was thinking about. Now here's how it goes, because I'm going to read it to you. I just want to get your thoughts from this.
Okay.
So God shows the man two rooms, one in heaven and one in hell, where the inhabitants have access to food but are unable to serve themselves using their utensils. Heaven, it has that in bold. The man sees a large table with a pot of vegetable stew and well-nourished people laughing and talking. They are able to feed each other across the table using their long spoons and are content. God explains that love only requires one skill, and these people learn to share. And then in bold it says hell. The man sees rows of tables piled high with food, but the people are starving and emaciated. They are strapped to their benches, too far from the food to reach it. But they have long spoons that are too widely to scoop up the food and bring it to their mouths. Because they are unable to cooperate, they are doomed to starve. The angels with the long spoon story. What's your thoughts?
You're talking about two different worlds, one where of community.
Yes.
And one of you have everything you need except for the ability to work together.
Go ahead and preach now.
So I feel like it's a mirror of the world we live in now.
Yeah, the same thing I'm thinking. So you got one world where you got long spoons, and instead of me taking the spoon myself and putting it in my own mouth,
I'm feeding
whatever
you.
I got at this end of the table, I'm gonna feed it to you so that you can grow.
It's the thing of like reciprocity.
Yes.
And like we're pouring into, I like to always say in relationships with people, friendships, family, whatever, it should be a thing of I'm pouring into you,
yes,
you pour into me, and we're both our needs are being met. And then you have the polar opposite of the world where we're both starving right now because my needs are neglected from you and your needs are neglected from me.
Yes.
And we're just looking at this food like, sure looks good.
Can't eat it.
Can't eat it.
We can't eat it. You all the way down in a whole nother country somewhere and you got something that can help me, and I'm all the way over here and I got something that can help you. But because we're not sharing long spoons with each other, can't eat it. You can't eat how good I'm eating, and I can't eat how good you eat.
I sometimes when you think of these mindset, it always makes me wonder like the why behind it. Is it because the people just don't know that's all they have to do? Or is it the fact that you're so stubborn that you're stuck in what you are familiar with and what you've been raised to do or whatever, that you don't even want to attempt because it's almost like I don't want to use that energy because what if you don't give it back to me?
Right.
So sometimes it is a selfish mindset with a world like that, because one, when you don't eat, what happens? You starve. You
starve,
you die,
yeah. We
right?
starve, yeah.
And we sometimes don't even realize the impact of feeding and pouring into someone else can actually benefit us.
Yes.
It will nourish me. Like I love when I can do kind acts for somebody else. It makes me walk away not like, oh my gosh, like I'm better, but it rejuvenates me. It kind of resets me in knowing like, oh my God, my life, like I just fulfilled a purpose in this moment. Like it wasn't just about me in this moment. And I don't think that enough people in this world can get out of their heads of it just being about them.
I agree. And I agree with like the small acts of helping somebody. I remember Mr. Scott, one of my mentors, and you hear me talk about him a lot. He passed away. But he used to consistently say, and he would say it in this form, he would say, and he would stretch the word good. He said, don't it feel good when you hold the door for somebody? Or don't it feel good when you're able to give a homeless person, you know, a couple dollars or a few bucks? He said, don't it feel good? I said, yeah, it do. You do. You feel a lot better when you're able to give somebody or to help somebody. I was having a conversation with one of my family members this weekend, and he is a giver, and someone had reached out to him and they needed some help with obtaining like college credits or whatever. And they needed somewhere to work at to do it, etc. And I said, well, you know, if the person is good by you, then they good by me. And he responded, and it kind of blew my mind. He said, well, I just met him today. And I thought about that. I'm like, wow, you're willing to put your reputation on the line to help somebody else because they came to you for help and you don't even know them. I found that in life, the greatest people that are ultimately the most successful in my life, from what I see, are the ones that implement the law of reciprocity, and they don't barter with money. They barter with knowledge. By doing so, essentially, you're using long spoons amongst each other.
Yeah, to feed, because your knowledge it's mine. It's coming from me. So I'm feeding you from my end of the table, and you're feeding me from your end. In addition to that, I will say, when it comes to, when you think of the world, right, we can even bring the sense of politics in it, where it's like we are so selfish sometimes as humans,
right,
that we would rather sit and starve than just to extend and feed them, even if I don't get fed.
Wow.
And it's like, when did this happen? Ironically, I was cleaning out my shed, and my children have an abundance of toys. And we had like 4 motorized cars for them. And it was like these big Elsa trucks. It was a Mercedes one and a Minnie Mouse one. I'm like,
I remember them little ones.
Yeah.
You press the button down. The kids lucky. They don't even got to pay for gas.
I know, right? They just have charge
and they
the
don't even
battery.
got to pay for the electric.
Yeah, charge your battery,
They
right?
putting it on you.
They're putting it on us.
Because you putting it in the plug.
And I'm like, they don't use it. And honestly, like, I could probably list it and get like a bunch of money.
Right.
So I didn't want to take it to Goodwill. So I was going to take it to a consignment shop for the children to get money back. And I don't care what they do with it. So as we're like taking the cars in, my husband's carrying the cars in, and someone was like, I'll buy it before we take it into the consignment shop. So I was like, oh, I turned to see where the person's coming from. He's like kind of walking fast with his little baby. Yeah. It was like a daughter, was like maybe 1. And he was like, before you sell it, like, I'll buy it. And I'm like, well, what do you want to buy it for? He was like, what are you selling it for? I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't care. Whatever you feel like you can give, that's fine. And she was like, the woman was like, I don't want to give you a low amount because I don't want to offend you. I said, you can't, because I would rather give it to you and
that's
your
love.
daughter be blessed than like, we just want to get rid of it.
Right.
So in that moment, once we walked away, it wasn't how it made me feel, because the one that they ended up taking was Haley's old car. And Haley said, that made me feel really good. Like, I wish I could give them all the toys I don't play with. And it was like, oh my God, like, just, she didn't receive anything back. It was just a fact of knowing, like, she made somebody else happy. Feel good. And because she could have benefited from that situation. She could have said, no, I still want it, and I don't want you to have it, even though I'm not going to play with it.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like if we can start passing on the lessons that sometimes we don't always have to receive.
Right.
What is it? It's better to give than to receive anyway. Yeah. That we can give, because you don't realize like how much it makes you grow. It makes you, like, I think it's important to do that.
I think people have a hard time of letting go of anything.
I agree.
It can be the most simplistic thing, like even something small, you know, because like, for example, my brother's hat.
Yeah.
It's just a hat.
I know. But you probably can't let it go.
Well, no. You know what I mean? This was like the last hat that I saw him in before he passed away. He would wear it all the time. But it's just a hat. Now, if it was raining outside right now, and there was a homeless man standing out here with no umbrella and getting wet,
do you think you could give that to them?
That's what I mean. To answer your question, I don't know. I don't know.
That's deep.
You know, so yeah, I just don't know. It's one of the situations where like we just have a hard time letting go of things. But what I do also understand that is that if that did occur and I did let that go, when you remove something out of a certain space, what happens?
It makes room for something else.
Right. So something else better will go up in this place, and maybe my brother's hat wouldn't be here anymore.
But sometimes it's the fear of when, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we always think that God is removing something because he's going to replace it with something bigger, right? But what if he replaced it with something completely different because that was never meant to be there? And it's always the fear of like, put this back, I'm sorry. It's always the fear of like the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then unlearning what we thought was meant to be, like unlearning the idea of what we thought was meant to be there for actually the reality of what should have been.
I follow this lady on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Crystal Teeny.
Okay.
She's the things that she posts a lot I really like.
Okay.
So she was doing a live video one day and she said a quote. So I wrote it down because I wanted to share it with you.
Okay, what's the quote?
And it ties into this. She said, "Prayer is telephoning to God and intuition is God telephoning to you." And I thought about that over and over again. And I thought about when we pray to God and we ask for things, but we also thank God for everything. That's us telephoning to God.
Mm-hmm.
And intuition is when we start getting a feeling about something.
Mm-hmm.
And once we start getting a feeling about something, it's God's way of telling us whatever we're feeling, it needs to be adjusted. It's not right. It's an intuition behind. Or it could be an intuition where it's like, I need to play these numbers.
Oh, is that what that is? Is that what that is? Okay, Eddie.
I'm gonna go play this Powerball. What does it matter?
That was good. Okay. Is that that's what God's really saying to you? Like,
yeah.
Eddie,
you better go
put
play
200 on that team. I told you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that was funny, but so I just thought that was like, it just brought it into me when you think about how many intuitive things that we have when it comes to thoughts and vibes and situations where it's like God basically informing us.
You know what? It's such a... I think you have to be very aware, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes we get flooded with so many thoughts in our mind that we do have to be able to... Wisdom should kick in where we can sift, all right, what is really God and what is us? Let's
talk about it.
Because we can desire something so much that we justify it in our mind that it has to be God. It's a returning thought. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, that ain't God. That's just your desires speaking louder. Or no, that's just you listening to your desires that are speaking louder. Because I feel like God, like when he speaks, you'll know the voice of God, right? But he allows us to make our own decisions, and he allows us to have all these opportunities. Because I always say with a situation, right, it's just a missed opportunity. So let's say if you know you're doing something wrong, and you're in your mind, you know that you shouldn't be doing something, and you're like, I would never do it. And it's like, would you never do it? Or is it the fact of the opportunity just hasn't presented itself?
Right. I understand.
So the times that we think we're hearing God, that's just us wanting that opportunity to happen, because it may not be the voice of God. It could just be our desires.
I agree.
Yeah.
I concur.
But how do you decipher the two? I guess
that's what my thought is. I'm thinking it's from I think it's from your personal relationship in general. That you have to have the ability of discernment to understand that, you know, yeah, I think that's what my thoughts is on it. I'm going back to this long spoons philosophy.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna just go with that the rest of the week.
All right, that's
this long spoons philosophy.
Well, you know what, and it can even make you say, what are you doing to be like? What table are you present at? Are you feasting in heaven, or are you feasting in Hades, in hell? You know,
you said Hades.
Are you feasting in hell? So it's a sense of like, what are you doing? Not you. Like,
right,
what are,
yes.
Like, for even me, challenging, what am I doing to make sure that I'm taking from what's on my end and giving it to the other person?
It's so many lessons in this piece, whoever wrote that.
Yeah.
One is, it's essentially saying that you could, because again, like I told you, I like to barter with knowledge from what I've learned from those predecessors before me that are my mentors. But you could reach somebody in a whole nother country, and you can ultimately feed each other through the law of reciprocity, where neither of you starve. And imagine if you had long spoons in so many different places.
Yeah.
You could essentially get full while you're sleeping. It's like having a life feeding tube in your throat.
It is. But you know what? I think it takes a mental adjustment too, because oftentimes when you're talking about like what's placed in front of you, it's something that I prepared. And I think you have to make an adjustment in your mind of saying like, okay, this is what I prepared and I know what goes in it, but I got to have faith that what you're feeding me is just as nutritional.
Agreed.
And in a situation where when you're talking about community space, one, you got to trust the community, and like everyone we're sitting at the table has a like mind.
Yes.
And I think also you have to let go of that power tussle of knowing that it doesn't have to be prepared and made the way you would present it. You have to be open to what someone else is giving. I know that would be for me.
Yes.
I like my hands in everything, not because I'm so much controlling, but I can bet on myself. Like I know what I'm bringing. I know what I'm doing. And when it comes to community and everything like that, I have to be very trustful of my community and know that, like, I know like, it doesn't have to be my way, but I know the value in what you're giving me is going to be equal to what I'm going to be given as well.
Yeah, I agree. This crabs in the barrel philosophy, right? Like, you know, for me, I would rather go through the long spoons philosophy versus the crabs in the barrel philosophy. Because when you think about the crabs in the barrel, like, if you pour all these crabs in like the sink, right? What are they going to do?
They're trying to get out.
No, one crab pulls on the next crab and pulls them down, and pulls on the next crab and pulls them down.
But
they're all trying to get to the top.
Nothing justifies the crab in a barrel mindset. I can understand almost why the ones in hell are almost stuck and sitting there. The crab in a barrel is a mindset of, I'm going to harm you. To me, the one in hell is, I'm going to harm myself.
Right. I'd rather starve than help you.
Yeah. So I can never justify. So I'm glad we're not trying to dissect that mindset, because I can't understand.
Why do you think crabs are like that? For example, if we threw a piece of chicken in the sink and you put the barrel of crabs in there, all of them are going to pull at each other to just get that one
small
win.
Piece.
Yeah. Instead of hunting like a lion where they all hunt together and then they share the food. The crab would rather pull the next crab down to try to eat the whole thing itself.
Yeah, if you think about
why
crabs,
you think it's like that?
They're scavengers. So all their use is accepting what's left of something. Like, that's how they survive. Like they're scavengers. They'll take any and everything, right? Whereas you got to be careful with those types of mindsets, because they'll take any and everything, even if it's not meant for them.
Ooh.
Whereas when you have like specific predators where they hunt a specific type of something, they hunt what's for them. You know what I'm saying? They don't just accept anything. They go after it.
Right.
I want to surround myself with a bunch of people who go after what they want. Versus ones who just accept, what's given or what's left.
They said a lion won't eat an animal that's wounded because they didn't get to chase it down.
it wasn't theirs. It wasn't meant for them.
Right.
You might get a hyena.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a vulture.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's something that is said about a characteristic of something that goes after. You see strength. You see, there's a sense of knowing that I could fail. Because how many times you watch animal shows where they'll show the animal like they're scouring, they're looking, and then they go attempt to get it and they may miss it.
Yeah.
But they made the attempt.
Yeah.
So I don't look at them to be less strong. I'm like, wow, that was courageous, because you know that you're gonna give it all you have and you might not get it. Right. I can respect that.
Me too.
Versus the mindset of like, I just wait to see what's given to me, because what's given to me may not ever been meant for me.
Right.
I'm just accepting it. You
might have a peanut allergy.
Exactly. And that, like, it's not yours.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go after everything that I have. I want to surround myself with people who go after, and I want to surround myself with people who, once you get it, you're willing to share. Right. Because you have what you can bring to the table, and I have mine. Like, that's why I don't always understand the philosophy of like when they go like with like, I'll bring the steak and you bring the potatoes. Nah, you bring your meal and I'm gonna bring mine. Yeah. Like, let's bring whole plates. Why we gotta bring pieces? Right. And I think we even come into situations with just pieces. And it's not I'm not contradicting myself, but I do understand the concept of you meet someone where they are, right? So when you're coming into a situation, let's say, as far as like a business opportunity, and you have like, this is what I have, this is my arsenal. I'm not saying you have to have it all together, but the value in what you have should be equivalent to whatever my value is, even if it's not the same thing. It should be value for value. Let's interchange value for value. Yeah. Like, don't bring me crumbs and I'm bringing you a whole meal. It doesn't work. And I don't want it.
No, I get that. And I agree with what you just said. That's what I mean. Like, when I was talking about sharing knowledge, like the law of reciprocity. Mm-hmm. But then I also do understand that, and I was having a conversation with Chico about this. Chico's my best friend here. We had a very delightful conversation about being in a room and being the smartest person. Mm-hmm. And my thoughts behind it was, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to have other people in the room that are smarter than me. Mm-hmm. And his thoughts were, even if you got other people in the room who aren't smarter than you, they're bringing something to the table too, that you might not even know about unless you tap into their mindset, to where at some point you will get something from them that you didn't know about. So that's what caused a delightful conversation.
Yeah, I can see why he says that. I will say this. I don't think that it should be consistently one thing. There's times where I might have to be the smartest thing, because now if I'm doing my life right, I should be inspiring somebody else. Right. And then there's times that I always should be like, if I'm forever trying to go up and evolve, I need to surround myself with someone who's always positioned in a better place for me to aspire to be. Right. But if you're always the smartest, then you're always at the top. You're never humbled to be at the bottom. And if you're always on the bottom, then who are you inspiring? So you kind of need both. Like, there's times that I want to be the smartest, and then because I do want to inspire, I want my life to inspire somebody else. But there's times that I need to be taught and be around like people who are influential to me as well. Right. So I think it has to be. I think everything's about balance, right? Everything has to be about balance in this world. So the balance is have both. Have the opportunity to check someone and to be checked.
Yes. Yeah. I'm with you when you're right. The diamond miner. Did we ever talk about it?
I don't know, but we had a conversation that just was really good, and you shared the story about the guy on a quest looking for diamonds. Yes. But you're talking about the guy from Temple who started Temple, who gave the speech.
I just thought about that. Yeah, that in my learnings, as you know,
that was deep.
Yeah, I mean, especially during a time of poverty, you know, this man, African American man, was a motivational speaker, and he generated $8 million by doing 8,000 speeches across the entire country during the Civil War, which was crazy. And what he did was, not like the youth nowadays who would generate that kind of money. Because you got to think, back in that time frame, he had $8 million.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like the value of that was probably equivalent to like billionaire.
Yeah. He took that money and he started a school, which is Temple. But it was about the speech. What was the name of it? Diamonds in the Field or something like that.
Yes.
Diamonds in the Field or something. But essentially what he did was, this guy, he had a house. He owned some land on the house, and in a small stream at the property. He went around. He was trying to find diamonds, and he went around the entire world. And it got to the point where he was just unsuccessful at his job. He was going from city to city, state to state, trying to find diamonds. He was just unsuccessful. So it got to the point where he needed money. So he sold his land. And then he went back out to the world with the money that he had to try to find new diamond mines, all these different things. And it got to the point where at the last diamond mine, he got so frustrated that he jumped in the river and committed suicide. Now, he sold his lot for pennies, the value of the land. He sold it for pennies. And the person that bought it wasn't a diamond miner. They were just playing on the property. They were playing in the stream and they found this unique rock. And they found out that the unique rock was a diamond. So they learned how to cut the diamond and make it look pretty. And it was the largest diamond mine found in the world. That story.
It was deep.
Yes.
Because it a lot of times we're so not content. Like, now, I think that people get it confused on contentment and just being complacent and knowing that you need to do better and you need to achieve for better. But when I say content, he was coveting everybody else's land, not knowing the value that he just had right underneath his own feet.
His own feet.
He didn't take the time to get intimate with his land and to really explore it. And a lot of times we don't do that. We always think somebody else's grass is greener. Somebody else's grass is well maintained. Somebody else's grass should be mine and it's better. So we'll just give up what we have over here versus just taking our time with it, getting to know it and really giving it 100%. If we gave it 100%, then we wouldn't even have the energy. But we're so not content because we're always looking to somebody else's stuff, wanting somebody else's stuff, and we're never fine with what we have. Now, like I said, I'm not saying to not want to achieve more and not want more. Right. But I'm saying there's a sense of, to me, contentment is I want what you have. Like, I know that it took work, but I want it in the way that it's looking to me right now. Right. And you didn't put the work in it to even make it that.
Acquire it.
Yeah. Like, you didn't put no effort in there.
Amanda Seales.
Oh, I love Amanda.
I love Amanda Seales.
Shout out to Amanda Seales. Small doses. I listen to your podcast. One day you can listen to ours too, please.
Yes. Because I love Amanda Seales.
Yeah.
She said, someone else's success is not a reflection of your failures. I double dropped the mic.
That one's good.
Think about it. Freedom is being able to write your own story. Someone else's success is not a reflection of your failures. She's famous. You got other people that do the same thing she's doing that are looking at them saying, I failed. Can't do that. She's telling you that.
One has nothing to do with the other.
Essentially the same thing that you're saying. We can be so busy looking at the neighbor's grass that we forget we got grass, we got topsoil, we got diamonds, we got gold. We might even have oil under ours.
Yeah. And then you can even flip it because someone else's failures is not going to be a reflection of whether we'll be successful. Like that, I think in a world where we compare for everything, like you compare whether you're fit enough, pretty enough, you make enough money, are you successful enough, versus you being your own gauge or comparing against the other person. And like, think about it, people who are starting their businesses off, right? And they're looking at someone whose business is popping, and it's like, hold up, why am I, like, you're calling yourself a failure based off of their success, where no, their journey just looks different,
right?
Like their grass and stuff, they got intimate with it, they explored it, they figured it out, and they mastered it for them. It has no bearings on what you can do for yourself. Like, why are you look at that to be, I think that a lot of times God allows us to see other people's grass and other people's successes to more so give us the encouragement to keep going, but it should never be the barometer of like how I'm comparing myself and thinking I'm like less than that. I don't know, it's just me.
No, I agree with that. And then I'm also finding, like, even for me, I'm taking the time to just be thankful. Like, everything you already have. I do this a lot at night. I literally walk around my house like all the time, and I just say, thank you, God. Like, I look at the windows, I look at the walls, and I remember where I came from. Everything. I'm so humble, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so thankful to what I have, that if I have no more, I'm just so happy for what God has given me currently. And that's just the explanation point I'm at in life.
That's contentment. That is the epitome of contentment. You're thankful for what you have. And
anything else is just dessert.
Ooh, yes. Cherry on top. You know, like, growing up in church, I used to say, like, Lord, but if you never do another thing for me again. You remember that? I'm sorry, you just said it in a different way, but that was isn't that the way they do it?
Yeah.
Lord, you never do another thing for me again, Lord. I'm thankful.
Yes.
Like, that is true contentment.
Yes.
Of, like you said, walking around and realizing, like, I'm grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
And because of what I have, it makes me want to make sure I'm bettering it.
Yes.
And I'm preserving it, and I'm protecting it. That's a good place. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it.